Hey, what's up? What's up, Justin? How are you doing, man?
Good man, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good, dude. This is the initial podcast that we're gonna start here for Bootcast. Start talking
Yeah,
about
good.
football boots, soccer cleats, the soccer world.
Hey, somebody had to take the reins, I feel like.
I mean, I feel like we talk so much like outside of like everything about like releases, like drops,
Oh yeah.
like the market in general, which is
Yeah,
like
for
something
sure.
I'm particularly interested in. Is just like what are the brands doing? Like what I don't know, just everything in general. So, um,
Well, I think the
but
nice thing too is that luckily for us, we're not contracted with anybody, so we can talk about leaks. We can talk about things that, people have spotted and seen in the wild that, other people necessarily can't talk about or, don't want to talk about, which I think is nice.
yeah, I mean, I definitely agree, dude. Because sometimes like what we'll see out in the football boot market is like we're gonna call it brands if they try things, like just being
Yeah.
upfront. Like if I mean when Nike does something like when they go from kangaroo leather to a synthetic version of leather that they're gonna say is softer and better and more comfortable, more responsive. Like we're probably
Oh
gonna call them
yeah.
out on that.
For sure, for sure. And I think it's important to call them out because, so many people I feel like just blow smoke and they're like, oh, it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. And then like a month later, everybody's like, I actually don't really like it. So I think it's just important to get it out up front and just be like, yeah, this isn't it's not terrible, but it's not as good or the best.
Yeah, yeah, definitely agreed, man. Definitely agreed. And today I think we're gonna jump into the our top five cleats of 2023 as we like round out the year,
Hell yeah. I think it's a great place to start this episode.
dude. So starting off, like number five, man. What's your number five?
All right. So I have kind of a cheat number five, but kind of not. I try to keep everything um, non-limited, so it had to be a pretty massive release, no Jude Bellingham accuracies or anything like that. But for my number five, I think you're actually gonna hate it, but I went with the Legend 10.
Oh,
So kind of going against everything we just talked about,
yeah,
but I think as far as boot releases went, I think that Nike did a good job trying to pivot away from leather and kind of bring back the CTR 360 vibes. Um, I mean, it's not that special of a boot, but I think
hmm,
if you're just getting into boots or you just kind of want a jack of all trades, I think this actually is a really good boot.
yeah. No, I definitely get it. And if it fit my foot shape more, like I think I would be more into it. And if the I don't know. There's just something about right whenever you're paying. I don't even remember what the Tampa Legend 9 was, like 225 US
Somewhere around
dollars.
there. Yeah.
And then I think they upped this last model, the Peak Ready, to like 240, right? So you're
Uh,
trying to convince me that this nice premium all around kangaroo leather that I was paying 225 for, you're gonna have me pay a synthetic for 240, and like I get it, I get it. Like that's where the market's going, right? You
for sure.
gotta
For
kind
sure.
of change your ways, like like us, like old dinosaur leather guys, but no, man, I respect it. I respect it, and they did very like nicely kind of lead us into the Tampa Legend nines with the remake of the CTR. So
Oh, yeah.
it's kind of they
Well,
dropped that, and then
I think the thing that's interesting that you just said though is that you said us old dinosaurs we still want leather, but I mean you look at it's a conversation for a whole debate, but people are clamoring for leather, leather. They want old Predator remakes to be leather. They don't want synthetic. Everybody wants leather, and everybody is praising Adidas right now for even though they're using a cheaper leather, everybody's praising them. So I don't know why Nike, Puma, some of these other brands are like desperate to get rid of leather.
I think it's just those. I think it's those big markets, man. I think it's that big California market. I want
Yeah,
to
that's true.
say what other state wasn't it? Was it Oregon that's doing the same thing with the K leather? I can't
I was
remember,
gonna say
but
I think it's the Pacific Northwest is kind of going that way.
yeah, so at least that's what they say. Like, I honestly don't know if it's. I mean, they could just be saying that, but it could honestly be like a cost production thing. And we kind of saw during the pandemic like how hard it was to get like Tiempos on time.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
like the colorway that they released in January, they still I think they still have some pairs. That icy pack. Can't remember exactly what it's called, but so I'm wondering
The
if it's just a.
Oh no, go ahead, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I wonder if that just is gonna streamline their production because honestly they have nothing to wait for now. They have no imports for leather like like they used to. So I mean I can't speak on that. I don't know that 100% for sure, but I mean that's
Yeah.
just kind of a feeling I have.
All right, what's
So
your number five? Give me your number
let me
five.
see. I had to write it down here. I have the Puma Future Ultimate. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I'm not going to give you a colorway because they had about 25,000 colorways. I think on Instagram I actually put out that they had 13, and then I think I saw like an updated version from Footy Headlines, and it was actually like 20 or something
Dude.
even more ridiculous. And I mean that's Puma's market game right now. Like honestly, it's just how many colorways can we make? Can we get somebody since they can't like they don't have that like built-in kind of everybody loves like a Nike Mercurial, like they're going to put a colorway in your face and say like, hey, if you didn't like this one, maybe you'll like this one. Hey, like this, if you didn't like this pack, you're gonna like this pack, and we're just gonna put as many in your face as possible. It's a good boot, honestly. Like that's why it's on my number five. It's nice, like it feels comfortable. It's wide. I thought they improved on the previous model by making it feel more. The last two generations of them, right? They felt like they were almost with that band they had for the first one, and then the I can't remember. It was like kind of like a central kind of band. I feel like it's finally feels like it's all together. Like the upper almost
Okay.
feels like it's one, right?
Okay, okay. Yeah, because I know that's the big issue that I had with especially the first and the second generation was it felt like three totally separate boots because of that band. Like the front forefoot felt totally different than the midfoot, and then
Yes.
then towards your heel. So it's good to hear that they streamlined it. I mean, I'm just not a Puma guy, man. I don't think I'll ever be a Puma guy.
Yeah. I mean, it's just one of those. If there was a chance for Puma, right, to really break through, it's with the future models, and I'm assuming that's the one that sells the most.
Okay.
That's the one they put the most um, payment through Grealish, through Neymar. Like that's really, and that's the
Yeah.
most. That's the one that differentiates itself. Because like if you look at the ultras, okay, you're gonna get beat by, speed portals, speed flows. You're gonna get beat by any vapor generation. So honestly, like the future is their model that they have to really run through because that's the one that's the most unique.
Yeah, I guess that is fair because the King, especially being so similar to the Tiempo, both being synthetic, and then yeah, like you said, the any speed boot versus the Ultra. I guess the future is kind of the weird one that sticks itself out. But I think that their issue that they're always going to run into is, like you said, oversaturation. They just have too many boots, and I get it. Like having options is wonderful, but too many options can feel daunting, and you never feel like you can keep up. And I think that they keep messing up with that stud pattern. I think that stud pattern is too aggressive for that boot.
Dude, I'm glad you said it because that's the reason I didn't keep him. Honestly, I felt like it's just I'm again old school dinosaur. I really like my conical studs. Like I feel like they almost had it perfect in those in that last generation. Like I had the first mile, and that one was amazing.
Yeah,
Like I didn't
yeah.
feel like I was risking myself on turf. I know other people feel comfortable on it. I see people on Instagram using them on turf fields all the time. They don't seem to have any issues, but again, like I'm not gonna, if it's a boot that I'm gonna be limited to where I can actually play with them, or I feel like I'm gonna be limited, then it's not gonna. It's that's why it's rounding out number five.
Okay, cool. Okay, give me your number four.
All right, man. I gotta look at this list again because I don't remember where I put these. The Copa Pure 2 Elite, which I actually have behind me.
Oh, nice. Okay, especially the
Yeah.
point one model.
Uh, yeah. So actually, this is the 2 Elite. And yeah, so the point one I actually ranked above these, and so you'll see those later on in the list. They did improve the heel, which I actually really enjoy. It's still kind of like a little chunky boot, but
Okay.
kind of like you said earlier with the Tiempo. Um, like at this point, I mean the maximum amount of leather we're getting is honestly just like that, which is kind of
The toe
sad.
box.
Yeah, but I mean the midfoot holds up really well. They're good boots. I do still have heel slippage even with that heel they fixed, but I've had it in the last maybe 3 matches I played. Feels really comfortable, really broken in. It's the probably the closest thing in this generation that we're gonna get to like a classic leather feel, unless you're getting like a Mizuno or an Adler.
Okay.
So yeah, man, I mean, it's just as simple as that. Like I mean that torsion frame soul plate, dude. It's gonna outlive us all. And
Yeah, the Nemesis, the old school Nemesis one. Okay, so do
yeah,
you feel like the heal and what they changed is for the better, for the worse? You kind of indifferent to it.
I think it's for the better. I think it definitely it helps out. It's not a perfect fix, and I want to say for a little bit, I felt personally that Adidas has kind of. I feel like they've kind of let go of lockdown a little bit in favor of some other things, and I feel like this Copa Pure 2 Elite and the Copa Pure 2 Plus being going back from a laceless model to a model with laces is real. They're really trying to step up their lockdown game, and I appreciate that. And we'll probably get into the Predator later. But I feel like from what I've heard from a lot of people that the lockdown has stepped up in that model as well. So I feel like it's a shift. It's a shift in the right direction,
Okay.
especially coming out of, I mean, in what, 2021 we had the Copa. Oh my gosh, what was that terrible model?
Sense?
The Sense. Oh,
Yeah,
yes,
dude.
where it's like
Such a cool looking boot, though.
yes, it was pretty cool, but not fun to play in. Yeah, so that's my number 4, man. What's your number 4?
Okay, so my number 4 is kind of a cop out, but not really. But I went with the Speed Portal
yes.
point one,
Yes.
99 gram leather.
Yes,
This was kind of a weird boot. I was a big fan. We talked about it a lot, but I was a big fan of how it looked, and I wanted to try it out. And synthetic, knit, leather. It doesn't. I'm not too picky, but this boot just kind of hit the mark. A lot of people did not like the Speed Portal, especially the point one. We talked about Noah. Noah has blasted that boot everywhere. But I think that kind of switching back to the old school, almost like Addy Zero, fit, feel was great. I love the Speed Portal sole plate. The heel was great. Lockdown was good. And the leather was soft, man. I know, again, it's kind of like the same thing with your Copas. It's just the toe box.
Mm-hmm.
And I really wish they would kind of maybe start doing the mid step. I think that would kind of solve a lot. But I just thought overall, for bringing a concept boot even further and making it even more wearable and more, I would say, probably desirable, I think Adidas pretty much knocked it out of the park with this one.
Yeah, and that was an interesting boot release too, because I think you and I thought, oh my gosh, like they're not gonna release these. Like I think it came out. We found out about them like last October, and we're like, dude, these things are never coming out. And then all of a sudden, it was like everybody all at once got like the all clear, and then they all came out. I had those boots for a little bit. I appreciated them as well. I think they were a little bit. The toe box felt amazing, like absolutely amazing. That kangaroo leather that they use in the front was top notch.
It's butter. It's butter.
Yeah. I think my foot was just, oh man, it was real tight in those. Like I think that was the only thing, was they were just a bit too narrow for me. But I mean, when a boot like that comes out, it's and I've heard Josh say this as well. Like it kind of the brands almost hurt themselves, because it's like you realize that a boot that's got like a simple U throat, kangaroo leather at the forefoot, is going to be better than all of this, for lack of a better term, kind of, oh my goodness, just innovative crap, I guess.
Yeah. Innovating for the sake of innovating is not always good. Which is, again, I think that ties back to what we were talking about with the Tiempo. Like, I think Nike sometimes just wants to be like so aggressive and be like, we're always on the forefoot and we're always trying new things, and it's like, that's awesome, but like, I don't always need something new. Sometimes sticking with like your laurels and your base is good. And I think that, like you said, Adidas knocked it out. They're like, let's give people something light, let's give people something leather, and let's give people something simple, and it worked. It worked.
Yeah, it worked. However, they're gonna have to sell us on some more technology. Like that's just how the boot market works, man. That is how it works. It's like if you're not innovating, I feel like people think you're dying, and so you have to have a narrative. You have to have some kind of technology that's going to improve your game. It's going to make it safer. I mean, it's going to, there's always going to be a storyline, and you've got to make money in this game. And if you have a boot, like honestly, like I think that separates like something like Adidas from like a Mizuno, where Mizunos don't really change even when they come out with a new model. Like it's really kind of the same, bread and butter that they've had the whole time. And these bigger boot brands like Nike, Adidas, like they have to keep the technology going. They have to keep marketing. So,
okay, for sure. Okay, so I'll give you my number 3. Okay, my number 3, a boot that you are unsure of, but I love, the Luna.
Uh,
The Phantom Luna, man. I know that this boot has very mixed opinions, very mixed reviews all over the place, but I genuinely think that the marketing on this is kind of what hurt Nike. I really
yeah.
do. You know, the sole plate, the 360 traction, I think I buy into this completely. You know, some people are like, "Oh, it's blades," but the way I kind of think of it is it's just going to cut a circle. So you're always going to
Mhm.
have, that pivotal rotation. So I thought that this was good. I thought it was better than the GX in terms of the rigidity. It definitely
Mhm.
gives you a bit more spring back. I like a boot with a collar. I'm a collar guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'll
You like a
always
boot
praise
that you
it.
can't put on or get off your foot?
Yeah,
No, we get it,
exactly.
dude. We get
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
No need to hide it.
Uh, I mean, I don't love the grip knit as much on this boot as compared to the GX because it feels like they covered the grip knit with a layer of some kind of polyurethane layer. So it feels like the grip part of grip knit is gone. So it's back to just
Mhm.
being knit. Like if this boot reminds me of Superfly 4s, Regista Ober 1s, Hypervenom 2-ish, but I really think that this is a good boot that more people need to give a chance.
Mhm. No, I agree. I mean, and like you've been championing this boot basically since it came out because
Yeah.
I'd gotten it right. I'd gotten it because I wanted to review it, and I had I think that's the boot I've had the most trouble with putting my foot into,
Yeah.
and I've got a fat foot, dude. Like I mean I accept that. That's totally fine. Um, like we'll actually get to see that sole plate now on the next Phantom GX2 slash Luna, whatever they're gonna call it. So there'll actually be a low cut version for me to try, and I'm gonna. So you're right with the GX. I think that sole plate might be a bit too flexible, um, and so if they're gonna go with the Luna bottoms, then hopefully a lot of people will get convinced of the Cyclone 360 because like me, I saw the blades. I said, I dude, my whole life. I mean, you can't tell me my whole life that conical are safer and then throw some blades at me and say like prevents ACL injuries, like
Yeah,
marketed
it's
for women
hard.
and the Q angle, and I just gotta try it, man,
Yeah,
and not think
I
about it.
think that's the thing. And I mean, we've talked about this off camera, but I've kind of more of a narrow to normal foot. You have more of a wide foot,
Mm-hmm.
and even with my narrower feet, I had to go half a size up because the padding I think on the inside is where they messed up. They made it almost too thick, so it feels like your foot is suffocating. But I mean, once you get that boot going and you get some break in time in it, man, I mean, it feels so good on your foot. That's the one time that the collar felt like, being so tight, it felt like it was that seamless,
Mm-hmm.
feel, the
Yep.
dynamic fit, everything that they, champion. But I really think that boot is going to be probably honestly underappreciated, maybe even hated. But I think
Mm-hmm.
looking back, we'll kind of point back to moments and be like, oh, they did that on the Luna, and they were right. They turned out to be right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, dude. I hope. Like honestly, sincerely, like I keep seeing the photos pop up of the new Phantom GX2, and like it just looks so good, man. So I'm really hoping to like the 360 as much as you do.
Okay, good. All right, what's your number 3? Give me your number
All right,
3.
man. I gotta go back to my list here, dude, because I can't keep in my head like you can. That's. I mean, you
I
got like
have
a
them laid out.
seamless,
No, I
you got
have
a
them like
seamless like
laid
pull the boot
out.
out thing. Okay, well, this is kind of almost like the counterpart to what you just brought up, and that is the Phantom GX.
Okay.
And like so honestly, like when it first came out and when we first heard about this boot was like a year ago, right? So I want to say, did they the icy blue pack, right? That was about beginning of the year.
That was the beginning of the year, but that's the only reason I didn't include the GX because the World Cup pack that everybody forgets
Oh
about.
yeah, see
It came
that's
out
that
in
gray
December.
area, that December pink gray
Yeah,
area,
dude.
dude.
Like
I
the
mean,
end of December, but that's why I have it as like my cheater pair, one of my cheater pairs.
uh
But I get it. Like I'll give you the blue pack, the blast pack. Yeah, I'll
okay,
give it to you.
okay. Quick caveat here with that World Cup, right? It is so weird to see professional players who have been playing in, what was it, the Phantom? Was it GT2s that they've been playing in up until that point?
Yes,
Okay, they're
yes.
playing like Phil Foden's, Harry Kane's, or whatever that had been playing in the GT2, and all of a sudden in the World Cup, right? Like, and this is maybe in the later stages of the group stages of the quarterfinals. They switch
Oh yeah,
boots,
yeah, they did.
and I'm like, in my head, I'm like, dude, I I need like in my pickup games like 3 matches before I completely transition into new boots. Okay, like I need a minute because I feel like even that little change in like the curvature of like the end or whatever, how it's going to feel on my ankle is going to affect my game. So when these professional players just straight up switch boots in the biggest competition, at, I mean that's why they're pros, dude.
Oh yeah, I mean, and you got to remember too, like me and you get these regular boots. They have these custom fitted,
Yeah,
custom everything. You know, I'm sure some of them, let's be honest, were probably camouflage pairs. They could have been GT2s, and
that's
we don't
true.
know.
That's
But I
true.
think it is interesting too how some players, I know, Casemiro and Rabiot, even after the GX came out, still stick with the GT2,
Hmm. Yes,
which
yeah,
was
and
very
so
interesting.
yeah, Kanate, he still does the GT2, which was a good boot by the way. It was a pretty
I
good
love the
boot.
GT.
Yeah,
I like boots that people tend to hate, honestly.
yeah. I mean, yes, you do. Yeah, I hope the Predator Edge better not be on this list because
It's
we'll
not. It was
have
last year.
some words. That's good, and I'm glad it was last year because I'm tired of hearing about it. Um. Anyways, going back to the GX, so when it first came out, basically didn't want to have anything to do with it. I was like, this is such a hype boot. It's a wide vapor.
Mm-hmm.
It's GT 2.1 whatever. Like I don't want to mess with it. And then like the more I saw it, the more I found out about it. Tried it, was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. This is comfortable. It was a bit narrow at the toe. The sole plate was a bit flexible, but I mean everything else, dude, that was just like chef's kiss. So
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so yeah, to add to that, I kind of was in the same boat as you. I was like, I have it right here. Hold on. I have the oh,
that's why I was
I have
counting
the
you. Yeah.
I have the link
Oh
pair.
yes.
I've got a few more, but
Yes.
I was like
The collector in your name, dude.
dude,
You've earned that
I,
name.
I have to live up to it. But yeah, honestly, like I was kind of like you. I was just like, I liked the GT2. I liked the GT1. I thought it was a really good boot. To me it was almost like a simplified Mercurial. And when the Mercurial switched over to the 14, and then what is it now, the 15? They really changed it up and they differentiated it. So when this came out, I honestly I kind of hated it.
Hmm.
I was like, I don't buy the hype. The sole plate's flexible. Yeah, the upper felt nice and soft, but I didn't see what everybody else saw. And I know Charles from Holtz Boots kind of felt the same way. And I just, kind of threw him off to the side, left him, and then I ended up getting the DF. And I think I told you I got the DF, and I was like, let me try that. And the light bulb, it just turned
Hmm.
on. And my whole like revelation came. I finished out my outdoor season in it, and I love this boot. Now I've switched back to the lows. I've got a couple pairs, but yeah, dude, this boot, this is gonna be
It's so
like.
good.
Obviously, I don't think it's gonna live up to the same hype, but I feel like people are gonna look at this boot, and it's gonna be like a Predator Mania, or
Yeah.
a Hypervenom,
Hypervenom
by
1.
Phantom 3, Hypervenom 1,
Yeah.
especially.
Yeah,
This
it
boot,
might be there because it honestly, like with these new boot releases, it takes a while to appreciate what you had in the past. And I know like we've had conversations about like Tampa Legend 8, about Predator Edge, like whatever it is, like almost
yeah,
like at the time, people it's too much hype, people don't care. Okay, whatever. Like I don't want to mess with that. It came out in an ugly colorway. I don't want to look at it. And then like 2 generations down the road, you're like, dude, that was a great boot.
what's a banger? Yeah.
And yeah, it was a banger, absolutely. So I think you're right. I think we're gonna look back at that boot and just be like, oh my gosh, that was so good. Like I wish
Oh
I'd
yeah.
gotten 2 pairs, which you
Yeah.
have 2 pairs. So
I was gonna say I have more than 2 pairs
oh gosh, dude, you
now.
have. Yeah.
I do. I really
Uh,
do.
but yeah. So it definitely is gonna take that slot. So
Good
all right, man. What we
choice.
got number 2?
Okay, number 2 is a boot that I love. I know some people kind of love it. You probably loved it more than the Edge, but the accuracy.
Mm-hmm.
And I definitely liked the low cut, man.
Yes.
We've had a lot of conversations. I've always been kind of more of the laceless guy. I like the laceless boots, but when it came to the accuracy, man, I don't know what it was, but this
Mhm.
low cut, this just hit home.
Yeah. Oh man, it did, and I appreciated the width on it. I wasn't, I didn't think the technology of what is it like the weighted like tungsten piece of the bottom.
yeah,
Oh Jesus,
dude.
that's
This is the worst. We're gonna have an episode about this. We're gonna talk about gimmicks,
mhm.
and this might be arguably one of the dumbest gimmicks I've ever seen in a boot.
Dude. It's either that or the sand. I liked the sand. Did you have the sand?
I did have the old school sand.
Yeah.
To me, I don't know, man. And like this, what did Josh say? It weighs like a quarter, the
It's
U.S. quarter.
yeah, it's basically nothing.
I mean, it looks cool. It
it
does
does look
look
cool.
cool. Like
It's
I'm
kind of like
cleaning my
whenever,
shoulder blade.
I don't know if those actually work, but in middle school, did you ever have those balance bands? Put the balance
Oh
band on.
yeah,
That's kind of what that. It's just
yeah.
that psychological. Like I'm gonna kick it harder this time. Like I know I am. It's going
Yeah,
in.
yeah. But no, I mean, honestly, but back to the boot, I thought that as much as I can praise the Edge all day, every day, nobody likes that boot, but I thought that Adidas took it back. They simplified it. I like the sole plate. They kept it from the Edge, but doing less Predator elements to make the upper softer, going back to the hybrid touch, knit, laces, a lot better of a
Hmm.
heel. The Edge had a sharp heel, but I just think that Adidas kind of was like, let's go back to our roots,
Hmm.
kind of reset everything. And I think they knocked it out, especially with this parlay pack. Just absolutely killer.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely, man. Yeah. Those are all good reasons. It's interesting how even on their top Predator models now, how they're going from like that model, which is obviously like a knit collar, back to U throat. I don't know if that's just a. I mean, I don't know what kind of it's a marketing decision on to make it look more classic or what, but it's just kind of interesting how they deviate through the generations.
Yeah. It's definitely interesting to me, too, what kind of technologies they will kind of go hard on, and then midway through or a next boot, they're just kind of like, yeah, we're over it. Like,
Hmm.
to me, and we'll talk about it with the 30, but the laceless version of that boot seems like the biggest afterthought in a boot I've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
they were just like, we have the tongue, we have the regular tongue and the fold over tongue. They're like, we've been pushing laceless boots for what, 8 years now? We have
Right.
to come out with a laceless.
I mean, honestly though, like I wish I could see statistics and what percentage, like how much of the market is your laceless market, and did they with this latest Copa 2.2, sorry,
Yeah.
excuse me, 2 plus, Copa Pure 2 plus, they said we're done with it, like we're out with the laceless, and even with the Predator, it's almost like okay, here are two options we have. Fold over, no fold over. We gotta let's hit this market. We need one laceless boot out there. So, like you
Yeah.
said, afterthought, maybe.
Why do you think though that with the Predator and the Copa, we'll use those two. The Copa they did the knit and then a regular U throat tongue, but with the knit they have laces. Why do you think with the Predator they didn't do fold over tongue, maybe laceless or lace, and then a knit with laces?
That's a good question, and honestly, I want that's a good point because honestly, they could have gone either way. Like, they essentially made a knit model with the laceless. All you have to do is add the lace holes. At the
Yeah.
end of the day, um, maybe they got feedback from players and they just preferred the U throat. I honestly don't know. That's a very good question though.
Yeah, that's something we'll have to figure out that.
But yeah, number one. My number one is ironically, and I think these two boots came out in the same year. The Copa Pure point one, like even with the bad heel, I
The
feel
original.
like the original, the OG,
Okay.
yeah, not these, but in the original model, since I've sold those since then, but the calfskin leather actually felt softer. I feel like even with that bad heel, I feel like the fusion skin was a little bit softer as well. So it just felt more. It felt a little bit slimmer, a little bit sleeker, more comfortable in my opinion than the Copa Pure 2 Elites. But yeah, that would absolutely be my number one. And it's kind of weird now that we're talking about this that essentially the same colorway, same model, just like an update in the same year. Like usually we see, I mean, I know
Yeah.
with Nike they kind of cycle out every 2 years. GX seems to be a little different. They're going on 1 year. But with Adidas, they'll just say, "Hey, we're done with that model. Like we're gonna change it. We're gonna call it the Elite."
Yeah, the naming thing with Adidas is really throwing me off. But I think it's also interesting that the only people who kind of do the whole name change but don't really change the boot is Puma. And now it seems like
Right.
Adidas is kind of starting to push that where they're like, we're going to tweak it a little bit. Because I think even the leather pattern is different now on the new ones versus the original.
Hmm.
And so I think it's very interesting that that boot's 6 months old? And they've already killed
I
the
think
first
it's. I want to say I got that pure point one in February, maybe. So maybe
gen? Okay, so almost a
it's
year.
close to a year, but still that's weird. That's weird. Like within
That is very
2023, 2023, essentially the same model. Um, So yeah, I don't know. I wonder if they had a lot of pushback on the heel, because that was really my hang up was, hey, there's almost like I've got to do a runner's loop. I've got to put all the laces like going internally, because it wasn't holding my foot in. And I mean, but honestly though, like even with that lockdown, like good grip socks, like I enjoyed that boot. It was such a good boot. And at the time, you're coming off such a bad model of the Copa Sense that you go from the Copa Sense to the Copa Pure point
Oh
one.
yeah,
Oh my gosh, dude, just
yeah,
night and day, much better.
yeah, yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it's interesting that what honestly I think besides the speed portal, the accuracy and the original Copa Pure only had what a year lifespan.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you know, I've been noticing that I feel like Adidas has been going on this trend where they'll do like two good versions of a boot, and then they'll put out like this totally out of left field version that everybody hates, and then
Mm-hmm.
they kind of revert back to what everybody loves, and they keep going like, what was it, the Ghosted with the X? It was the Ghosted, the
Mm-hmm.
Speed Flow, everybody
Yeah,
loved.
everybody
Then it went
loves
to
speed
Speed
flows.
Portal, everybody
Mm-hmm.
hates Speed Portal, and
Yeah.
then now they've got, what do they have now?
We are on speed. Oh my goodness, dude.
Crazy Fast.
Crazy fat. Thank you.
Yeah, and the
Yeah.
Crazy Fast is back to closer to how the Speed Flow. And then same with the Pred. You know, we went from oh god, now that I'm on the spot, I can't think of any of these.
Did it go edge, accuracy, and then 30?
What was before the Edge? That's
Before
my
the Edge.
question.
The Paul Pogba spiky one. What was that one called?
Oh, the
The
Freak.
Freak.
Okay, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So think about it. So they have the Mutator, then the Freak, which is kind of a toned down Mutator. Then the Edge is out of left field, and then now they go back to the accuracy with more dots again.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of been the same way with the Copa. You know, they have the 19, the 20. The Sense is out of left field, and then they go back to the Pure.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting to me to see them kind of. It almost feels like Adidas has two separate teams working on boots.
Yeah. Yeah. Almost like game development or something.
Yeah,
Like, we
and it's
have
like this one team is just always putting out a terrible model that everybody hates.
That's the strategy, man. You got to have a bad Assassin's Creed every 2 years.
Yeah,
that way they
makes
can rope
sense.
you back in.
Hey, yeah, there you go.
Like, no, guys, we're going back to basics. Look, we're going back.
Sell you something terrible so we can sell you something
Right.
that
Exactly.
fixes what we broke.
Exactly. They don't seem to do that. I think honestly, like that's a good point. I think with the speed portal, I don't think they intended to mess up that bad, because honestly, like the speed boots are probably like, I mean, outside of the Predator, and I think the Predator is going to be their main seller this generation in particular. But like you never want to mess up a speed boot, and I think with the speed portal, they were like, oh crap, dude, we gotta redirect this ship. The Sense, honestly, dude, I think they thought people wouldn't notice with the Copa Sense. They really F that boot up though. So I was,
really
I mean,
did.
pleasantly surprised with the Pure.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. It's always good to hear that somebody has like a good experience after something so bad, so bad. All right, number one. I'm
I
sure
already
you
know
can
what it
guess
is.
it.
I already know.
The new Pred.
Yes.
It had to be the new Pred, man. You know, I'm an old man. I've been telling you for a while. I've been wearing all my remakes. I've got my Manias, my Pulses, my Absolutes have been my go-to. So a Pred that has this alone made
Yes.
this number one right here.
Yes. Yeah.
I haven't worn the boot too much. A little kick around, feel the ball, feel it on foot. I'm telling you, man, this is
Yeah.
when new colorways come out, this is going to be boot of the year for 2024 and hopefully onward, because this boot is going to be a staple for a lot of people.
Absolutely. And I mean, everything that they did to market that boot and to actually like build, like that hype was building for like 2 months straight on this. Well, we've seen,
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
So going back to last year, right? We saw like big names wearing whiteout boots of this with the tongue. And so we didn't exactly know where they were going to go with it, right? Okay, is it going to be like a tongue is it like a Velcro off? Like what is, you know what I mean? So, and then, dude, peak Predator 30 hype, right? Trent Alexander-Arnold. You pull him away from Under Armour, he's been there forever. Like I can't imagine him in anything else. And then it's the marketing behind that, just genius.
I mean,
Genius.
yeah, Adidas knocked it out with that alone, because besides Trent, I don't really know anybody who wears Under Armour's, like a big name like that. So for them to lose the guy that they just did, a 7 colorway kind of whole line with, and his colorway, man, we need to talk about that colorway.
Yes.
Because as good as the Predator 30 is, Trent's colorway is
Yeah, and that's what it gets nerds like us excited, and they did the like this is the funny thing about Adidas is like Nike doesn't do this as much where they'll just give a player a custom. I mean, they'll give them their signature boot, right? And they for some reason they've given Bellingham like five Predators already,
Yeah.
and like
Yeah, he has.
so. But in terms of Trents in particular, right? Like they've done that before. They did it during the World Cup with the accuracy where they gave them just like the white and black Predators. But we know we're never gonna get our hands on those, dude. Like it's not gonna happen. It
Yeah.
looks so good. Like the red fold over tongue on the white is
Dude.
incredible. But we're never gonna see those.
And it's crazy to me too that they gave a new player to that his own boot to wear for what, one or two. They built the hype, and now I
Dude,
think he's wearing the orange.
and he did phenomenal in those too. He really
Oh yeah,
did.
that goal. Oh.
Yeah. Oh, goal was yeah, spectacular. I think Diego Jota just scored in a pair of 30s as well, like a couple games ago. So it's been like it's just the magic boot right now, dude. And you've got so going back to the marketing, like you've got Golden Boy freaking Jude Bellingham wearing them right now, who's probably got the best trajectory of any player, and he's
Oh
just
yeah.
phenomenal. So like that's almost just like your like I'm not saying he'll be like looking back generationally, right? Like one of the biggest names to wear the Predator. We're talking like David Beckham, Steven Gerrard, Frank Lampard, like just these big, just iconic play. And Bellingham is just going to basically fit that mold.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I mean, they're Adidas are really onto something here.
Yeah, and I mean, again, we talked about innovation for the sake of innovation, and I think, I know other people have pointed out, but it's so interesting that for so long they're like, we got to get rid of the tongue, it's outdated, you don't need it, blah 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 blah, and then finally they're like, actually, the tongue, we'll put grip on the tongue, and we think that people will like it. I think that the Predator remakes have shown Adidas that that's what people want, man. They want a classic Predator, they want a tongue with an elastic strap. Like I think if you would have done more like the Velcro strap on the Precision, I don't think people would have.
No, no,
I don't think this would have.
not a fan.
I love this boot, but I don't think people.
There's
would
something
vibe with
about
that.
I mean, dude, it's abs like the band, man, because I've had several, I mean, those old school Tiempos, the Velcro, it was okay, but like the strap, dude, when you put that strap,
Yeah, man.
yeah,
It's something about. Hold
it
on.
hits
Let me grab
different.
something. Hold on. All right. So one thing I think is interesting about this Predator boot, especially with the tongue, is it's almost borderline a remake of this bad boy.
Oh wow.
I mean, that it's hard to see on camera, but the elements, dude, it's literally three elements. Hold on, let me break this tongue off. They're almost in the exact same spot, the exact same style.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think if they would have made this leather, they would have completely broken the boot market. I think that
Yeah.
this would forever
Absolutely.
be everybody's favorite.
Absolutely.
But I
And
think
they,
that
and they might.
Adidas-
There's still. I mean, there's still a chance for like a limited release remake, Tony Cruz style.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, they did it with the Edge. They did that one '94 remake that had the leather over it, which a lot of people
Yeah.
liked. But I think that this boot is the most deserving to be number one right now.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, the hype alone, and then living up to that hype is something that is rarely ever pulled off with boots, right?
Yeah, that's
I mean, it's honestly just it just doesn't happen. Like it really doesn't. I remember being, dude. I remember being so excited for Copa Sense, like just in being supremely disappointed. Like I remember being. I'm trying to think of another one I was very excited for and just let down. But I mean, the fact that my point being the fact that this lives up to the hype is it's so much sweeter. Like the marketing is on point. The fit, like you've told me, is on point. The tongue is on point. Like everything is just lined up for perfection here.
Yeah, I agree, and that's why. So I had to give it number one, man. A boot like you said that lives up to the hype and is the hype.
Mm-hmm.
That's Chef's kiss of the year.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. Dude, do you have any honorable mentions just off the top of your head?
Let me think. What if I tried this year?
I know, dude. Going back when you told me to make five, I was like, there's been so and I couldn't remember. Like I was like, was that last year? No, that was this year. Was this last? Nope, that was this year.
Yeah. I would think that I think that an honorable mention, I think it's my cheater choice, but an honorable mention is my Predator Precision remake, but the
Mhm.
point one specifically. So Hybrid Touch, I think that I have the leather model too, but
Mhm.
I think that them doing a synthetic, kind of like how Bex used to wear those weird power swerves that were
Yeah.
synthetic back in the day.
Yeah.
I think that this version specifically, honestly, it just crushes the other one.
Dude, the hybrid touch on those, like, is one of the most comfortable boots I've ever put on my
Yes.
feet, like ever.
Yes.
And it's thick and it's chunky, but it just feels like a slipper. It feels it feels more comfortable than some kangaroo leather boots, some padded
For
kangaroo
sure.
leather boots I've worn. Like
Yeah, absolutely.
that was the first time I ever put a synthetic on and was like, wow, that is like more comfortable than leather.
Yeah, and when we're talking about the synthetic, you can definitely tell the difference between that hybrid touch versus the Predator 30's hybrid touch.
Mhm.
But I think that specifically the old school hybrid touch, I think that this should be a staple for if they ever decide to go,
Mhm.
a non-leather Copa. I think they need to use this version because it's pillowy, it's soft, and it just feels good. This is a good synthetic leather.
Mhm. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
All right, give me your honorable mention.
Oh gosh, dude. You know what? I'm gonna go out on a limb here, right? And it's not for everybody. It really isn't. And it's a boot that I can't wear personally, but I put them on this year. I put two pairs on actually. That's the Puma King Ultimate. Um,
Oh,
look, it's not as bad as some people make it sound. And I know that when they first came out, a lot of people were saying like, "Oh, it's super narrow." Like it wasn't the worst boot I've ever put on in terms of how narrow it was. And I feel like after a little bit of wear time, it was starting to conform to my foot. The problem with that boot in particular, though, is the heel depth. Um, like I really wanted to like it. And it was going to be just kind of like a fun pair to have. Like you can get them really cheap right now. I got a pair. I want to say like for $100 over Black Friday. Just
okay.
I couldn't I couldn't keep it. It wasn't bad. It just wasn't for me. It
Yeah.
wasn't for my foot shape, I guess I should say. But if anybody's out there, you've got a foot that's slightly more narrow. You don't mind having a little bit of looseness around the heel. Like it's a good boot. You can get it for $100. So
Okay. I'll have to try
yeah,
that out.
yeah.
All right, so I guess before we sign off, give me your colorway of the year.
My colorway of the year. Oh gosh. You know what I really liked from New Balance when they came out? I was completely unexpected. The Tim Weah boot.
Oh
Excellent
yeah,
boot.
yeah, the
Yeah.
white ones.
Did I not put that in my top five? You
You
know
did
what?
not.
I did not. Okay, that would be my first honorable mention then. I don't even know why I'm talking about the King. Let's just for just a second for everyone. New Balance. The
Sleeper.
quality sleeper. And I don't even know if they're a sleeper anymore because everybody knows about them.
That's
But
true.
the quality of those tequilas was awesome. And the colorway was just like like they did so much to that boot, like Statue of Liberty, like Queens on the bottom, freaking just like a gorgeous base white with the red, just insane boot.
Good choice. That was a good choice. That was a good bit.
Yeah, I don't know how I left that off my top five.
I don't either. For somebody
I
that
know,
was
I know,
so
man. I hit my
strangleholded
head.
by that
I
boot.
I don't know.
All right, well, I think that's it for my top five.
Yeah.
I think that's it for yours.
Yeah, man. Do you want to plug yourself? Tell people where they can follow you on Instagram.
Yeah, man, you can follow me at Texas Cleat Collector. I'm usually pretty active on there. I don't post, but I respond to messages, and I like to talk to a lot of people. So
You got some good stories. You've got some like you've got some good like you'll follow and then repost and then I'm like, oh man, like I've got to step up my game. I really do.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. And I'm Colby. You guys can follow me at Kicking It with Colbs on Instagram, Kicking It with Colbs YouTube page. I make shorts about the football boot market. So
Perfect. Well, I guess the main thing is now we should tell people to what? Like, subscribe,
yeah,
comments.
like, subscribe.
If you guys have any topics that you want to talk about, please leave them down below. We're always looking for ideas.
Awesome. All right, thank you guys.
All right, man. Have a good night.
Thanks, you too.